Everybody, welcome back to episode 38. This is the after show for Protection Warriors, aka welcome to the Slam. We have some stuff to talk about, don't we? I think we still have things to talk about. We have questions to answer. I know we skipped part of the actual main show to move it along, so we'll bring that up here in a little bit. But, yeah. Anything else to go off of, Anna? Do you have any questions from Twitter or chat room that we want to bring up real quick?
No, I'm just trying to figure out where chat says I said I was awesome, and I'm like,
what?
I don't really. I mean, I don't think I'm that self-centered. Where did I say this?
What
maybe
happened?
you posted something on the Final Boss Twitter that like could be misread. I don't know.
About
I
what?
did tweet that I was really excited that we're having Ian on the show.
Yeah, I just retweeted
on May
that.
4th.
Uh-huh.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I didn't say anything bad. So excited to announce.
That's gonna be a really, really exciting episode. I just like I cannot wait because he's the guy who's been, I mean, him and a lot of other people, but he's kind of the public face of raid design and PvE and counter design. And I know when we had Chad on the show, it was really exciting because Chad's been the public face of class design for the last couple of months, but Ian's definitely the raid guy. So everybody make sure that you submit questions and everything that you want us to be asking him on May 4th.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If you guys have questions for either Mr. Matthew Rode or Ian Hazacostas, submit them right now. The website's right there on the screen. You're looking at it. The button is right below the screen. Submit them at the email. Don't just tweet us questions because they're going to get lost by the next 2 weeks. Send us an email at FinalBossTV under Ask a Boss, and then put it either toward to Duck Sauce or to Ian. Mr. Hazacostas himself. So right now we'll start putting the show notes together early because we still got to fit everything we want to talk about into 90 minutes plus a little bit of after show for both of these guests. There's tons of stuff I'm sure people want to know. So send your questions in now. All right? Not right, like today, after the show goes live, now. And don't forget about it because then, yeah, we can't get to everyone's question. We don't have so much time. But yes. And
yes, we'll be asking him the hard questions. That's what you can expect from Final Boss. We
absolutely.
we don't pull any punches. He knows what to expect.
He should be prepared. Hopefully with more sleep than Chad and John.
Had.
We'll
but
see.
Chad doesn't sleep though.
He doesn't
so
sleep.
But anyway, let's get back to Warriors here. Because and if you guys have any questions for our Warriors, make sure that you submit those over Twitter as well. I'm keeping an eye on it. But I can start with one of my weekly favorites. We ask everybody, and I know previous guests have gotten mad at me after the show if I've forgotten to ask them. So let's get started with it. I would like to hear y'all's favorite boss fight in Myths of Pandaria.
There you go.
And if you say Lei Shen, then you have to pick a different one.
I was gonna say,
everybody
isn't this pretty obvious?
Lei Shen. Yeah. Everybody we all know that Lei Shen was wonderful. So if you like Lei Shen, tell us and then pick another one.
Lei Shen was the best boss that's ever been designed in the history of this game. Coming from someone who's played since vanilla, there's been bosses that were more difficult, and when I say more difficult, I mean unkillable, as in it took weeks and weeks to get gear. Lei Shen was great because it was killable from week one. If you played perfectly, It was killable from week one. The only downside to Lei Shen was I feel like it got caught up in the RPPM patch, where RPPM trinkets were they were huge and such a big deal.
And they were resetting inconsistently. Like when you battle res, they would reset a different way than if you zoned in. It was nuts.
It wasn't a good place. So like for people who killed it before the item upgrades came out, they know that it was a tough DPS check. You know, it was a tight DPS check. And then I hear people talk about, oh, Lei Shen wasn't that bad because his DPS check was nothing. It's like, you must have killed it after the item upgrades came out, because before that was intense. Other than that, I really liked Empress Shexir in tier 14.
That's a tank answer. You know, you're the second tank that said that.
Didn't Trekkie say that too?
It was great. I thought it was a really good fight from top to bottom.
Yeah.
I kind of wish the last phase had been more intense. This might have been just my guild. We literally the second time we got to phase 3 or whatever, the last phase, the burn, we killed it. So I feel like if they made the last phase a little harder, it would have been a better boss. But that was a great boss. And then Siege Crafter was
Crafter like Anna's favorite, right, Anna?
Yeah, a lot of people really like Siegecrafter. I mean, I have several favorites, but Siegecrafter is definitely one that a lot of people quote as being a really great boss.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and the problem with, like, boring and annoying, I mean, you really have to wonder, would it be better if you had to go through 12 minutes of fight and then work really hard on, like, the most complicated phase, and then that is kind of soul-crushing in the end. I guess it makes for a harder boss fight, and a lot of the boss fights recently have had last phases that were really just burn phases, but...
Oh, I honestly didn't think it was boring. I thought that the main mechanic of it was negated by shamans. The fear...
Yeah.
If you didn't have shamans, that phase was a totally different phase.
Yeah,
you know, imagine not having shamans and people are running all over the place into the AoE, into the little thing that tanks had to get into. It was just a completely different fight. But since there was the shaman factor, it left something to be wanted. But don't get me wrong, that was my second favorite fight of the expansion, so it couldn't have been that bad.
And how about you, Eddie? What do you think?
Been thinking about this one. I'm honestly not sure. There's certain few fights that I really don't particularly like. I think Primordius is one of them if you're trying the two-tank strategy. That one, there's a certain video going around on YouTube with that one. That one wasn't too much fun. I don't know. Dark Animus is certainly not one that I particularly enjoy. I think it great in concept, but it was executed not terribly well by the designers, I think. I feel.
Gliff's got the video.
Yeah, not safe for work, by the way. Just be careful when you're looking at it.
Don't watch it with children around.
I don't know. I like all the bosses mainly in Mr. Pandaria. I mean, there are a few that I don't like. Darumo I quite enjoyed, actually, to be honest.
That's a rare one, and I really like that fight as well. Not a lot of people say it because I think it was plagued by a bunch of visual problems, especially at the very beginning of the...
Yeah, before they changed the visual effect on the maze, it was a bit stupid. It was a bit cantankerous. But
and if you PTR tested that boss, you watched the maze go through like 10 different visual incarnations.
Yeah.
There was one week on Duramu where DBM and boss mods actually turn off and turn on particle effects quietly, and not a lot of people know this, but we have a DBM writer in my raid, and one time he broke that functionality, so we pulled Duramu and we immediately died on the maze because the particle effects were turned on for everyone.
Oh gosh.
Wow.
Just yeah, but that fight had its visual problems, but it was really cool. So.
I guess Paragons it's a little bit unforgiving. I think if one person dies on Paragons, you're a bit screwed. That's probably the main issue. But in terms of like fight overall, I thought it was pretty enjoyable. It's just if one person dies, it's very frustrating at the start to have to wipe down and then try again. Garrosh was, to me, a little bit disappointing. I felt easier than Paragons for the most part. So, but no, I don't really have a favorite encounter this fight, this expansion. Just take it as it comes, really.
Did you guys use daggers on Garrosh, Eddie?
No, I think we were going to the week it got fixed, so we just didn't bother with them.
My friend Bevy in Azerothian Knights, it's like I think that they're like top 5 US 10 man. You watch their kill video and they used daggers, and they have like 3 shamans in their guild, so they had people like standing and all this stuff, and I'm just like, really? Like, that's because seriously, I can't tell you, it was an interesting we didn't have a problem with the star and face aura on Garrosh, but I felt like we wiped probably 4 or 5 times to the what is it, the 3rd or 4th malice, the one that you have to move during the second bombardment. It was brutal.
Oh yeah, that's the one during the second bombardment. We used the immunity group and just soaked the last couple ticks. The we don't use our immunities, but we use that group of people with strong personal CDs, and they just sit there in the whole raid. The raid just splits off.
Yeah. Mechanics like that, I'm just really interested to see what they're going to do with 5 less people, with like 1 ladder of difficulty. I really want to know if fights will feel easier or a lot more challenging. I really wonder. Because like the relative difficulty of like damage to HP to boss damage to needed to do to the DPS benchmark will all be the same. It's just all the same. Because basically it's still heroic rating, it's just a different name, but 5 less people. So
I think with the 20-man model, they'll be able to test it a lot more thoroughly. So
Yeah.
you won't have the 10-25 balance. So
Yeah,
You won't have
when
everything's
it's using that
tested on
first-
10 and then multiplied
Yeah.
by a number. to go up to
Exactly.
20
that's-
and then all the
that's
25-man
off
testing
backwards,
is crammed into 15-minute periods on like one single day.
Yeah.
Not that I'm bitter or anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll see. I'm not that concerned about it going to 20. What I'm super concerned about is the healing model changing so significantly. I mean, we'll have people that we can ask this question to in the future, but
Yeah.
I sincerely doubt that they are going to change healing as fundamentally as it sounds like they're trying to. A, we've heard this before. B, we've seen how people react before to boss fights that make healers artificially deal with kind of a different healing model. And C, that kind of a change is just, I don't know. I'm doubtful. A Sinestra
Well, I think-
or a Nubarak, I mean, would be another one that people were.
There is
like,
another. The fact that they're changing mana, though, that they're buffing the passive regeneration, so you're not as dependent on spirit, because that was the problem in Cat at the beginning of the expansion. I
just
mean,
mana lock.
it was ridiculous. You had to drink before every single pull, and then in raids, you're halfway through. I was in a 10-man, and we had one of our healers switch to a Resto Shaman just because our Disc Priest and our Resto Druid literally could not get through the fight without going So I feel like that was the bigger problem, where then when people started bitching about it and it's too hard, then they kind of backed off on it, went back to normal. So I feel like that might be the difference, but you are right, that does kind of worry me that they're changing something that's such a core piece of rating.
Yeah. Well, to see.
And to be fair, I want to be wrong. Let's put it that way. I have faith in where I want to just clarify that, because everyone's like, oh, Anna is so ragey at the devs. No, I really want them to be right. And I want to be wrong. I'm skeptical. It's going to take a little more convincing. Mostly it's not really words that are going to change. I'm curious to see what we see when the alpha starts.
Well, there are multiple more lengthy blog posts coming from Blizzard. So keep in touch with the obviously MMO-C and their Twitter feed, and obviously their website will update these and post them up. But
they'll be releasing lots more information in the next coming weeks.
yes,
So.
and then of course with Ian being on the show on the 4th, asking tons of questions for him to clarify for us. Yeah,
We'll see.
and then we're gonna get
Hopefully the alpha will be released soon too, for us to start for people to start being able to play.
Yeah, I
We'll
wonder.
get some real information.
This will be a longer patch cycle than Mist's was, which is great. I really hope they do a lot more raid testing than they did with Mist, because Mist was I think each boss got maybe 2 tests of 2 hours total in the realm of it, and a lot of people couldn't a lot more of that, especially because they're changing the raid size.
Well,
So-
and yet MSV was one of the best rating instances that I think that they've ever released. One of, not the best. But
Yeah.
despite that lack of testing, I mean, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, if you guys disagree, then go ahead. But I thought MSV was a fantastic raid instance. It doesn't have a lot of bosses that people would pick out as being oh my god, that was my favorite boss ever. But coming out of Cataclysm, going into MSV as a raider
it
who's
was a
kind
breath
of
of fresh air.
who's
It was
kind of
just
burned out and is really tired of the game, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, this raid instance is really good.
It was interesting to me because there were so many fights that I really liked, but they left me wanting so much more.
Yeah.
Elegon in particular. It might have been because I killed Elegon so late. So at that gear point, it left some to be wanted. But I mean, it just, I felt like they could have done so much more with it, that it would have made it one of the best bosses of all time, let alone of this expansion.
It was a first draft, I feel like, of new raid new raid instances. MSV was cool as a first draft, and then obviously the later ones got better, but it wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
Spirit Kings was absolutely brutal in its original.
Oh, Spirit Kings was
Inception.
awesome. We had a
It was-
reset video. We've got a reset video of just 2 minutes of our tank going reset.
It was horrible.
Reset.
Yeah.
When I heard
But I mean,
that
the
they were
fight was
doing
awesome
that,
when you got into it, but
The
When I
stars
heard they were
aligned. Yeah.
when I heard they were doing that with Paragons, it was like Not again.
Well, but that didn't
And
make it
everyone
out
got
of beta.
so worried.
Thank
Everyone
God.
got so
Didn't make
worried
it out
about
of
this.
PTR, yeah.
But no, the intention was never to do the Spirit Kings thing. They tested
It was
several
going to change
different.
it for a week, right?
No,
Yes.
no, only on not on heroic though. They tested several different orders to see which to test several different orders with people, but the design was never it's going to change every week. They were always going to set an order. They just didn't know which order they were going to set.
I was
when
I was
they were
under the
testing
impression
it.
that it was going to switch every week, but I might.
Yeah, a lot of people were, but that was never the original design.
That would have been so awful. Oh, God.
Minion can tell me if I'm wrong in 2
would've
weeks,
been
but from what I remember asking about that, and the answer I received was, no, we just tested a lot of orders. We were not going to switch it every week on you guys on heroic. We learned that lesson. So
The funny thing is that because they didn't switch it, so many of the mechanics that are supposed to interact with each other don't. You know,
Yeah.
so like a lot of the things that could interact with each other, because I think there's an ability to get rid of the Amber guy's Amber Shield. I have no idea what it is. Someone was telling me this last week that there's a way to get rid of it without DPSing it.
there's a one of the paragons that you pick up. I did it on PTR and it was bugged, so I remember making a video of it and like posting it in the bug thread for that fight. One of the paragons, you pick up his buff and you jump onto a ledge, and then you have a little target reticule and you threw it onto the amber, and then that broke the amber.
That's the guy you killed last, though.
But you never see that on
Locust,
Rogue
yeah.
because you kill that guy at the end.
Yeah. He was just the easiest one to do. I really honestly wonder now with farm. I love like doing like boss testing after you have it like the main strat or what works for you down. I would wonder if that kind of boss right now would be fun to do in different ways if it could be done, because certain paths you have to kill Bloodlord first, right? Like, that would be such a pain in the butt to keep dealing with the Bloods over and over again.
Unless people are bob stratting.
Well, you can't anymore now. It doesn't work.
You mean you could just kill the Bloods? I mean,
that's
it is
what
possible.
I wonder. I do wonder if you could literally just do the boss differently.
I mean, have you ever?
Tried.
Has your guild ever messed up and like had the Bloods go for Skier instead, and then it's like, oh god, kill that blood, and then made it? Like,
we reset it. We reset
because we've done that.
We just reset.
We
Like,
said,
whoops.
yeah.
We've changed our rotation, our order though. Once they put the nerfs in for lines, we kill manipulator before the line guy. Because we felt like the only reason we were ever wiping on farm was because if somebody fucked up or somebody messed up and walked into a thing, or you know it got on a tank and cleaved a bunch of melee. So we kill manipulator first. We don't even get a crouton anymore. Yeah, we call them croutons because no one can pronounce Kachong.
Kunchong.
Croutons is so much easier.
Just call them croutons. Wow.
Yep.
Well, that makes a whole lot more derp of people that actually run into them and get eaten by a crouton in fights.
It was kind of funny when we killed Paragons the first time. We anticipated being like horrible for rekills. We're like, oh my gosh, we're extending on Grouch because we don't want to get stuck on Paragons. Our first rekill after we killed Grouch, we one-shot it. We were like, what? Like, it was after they had nerfed the tank damage, so like the tank damage from Locust was like nothing compared to what it was. So
interesting.
I'm sure Eddie experienced that because he killed it pretty early too.
We did the same thing. One shot it next week, wiped about 50 times for it the week afterwards.
We did too. It was after because we took a 2-week break for Christmas and we came back after Christmas, and I swear it took us like 30 attempts to get it. It was horrible.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So I have a question that came in on the emails from a small package on BlackRock US, asking for what do you guys' thoughts on. We kind of went over this in the main show again, but it's, I guess there's two parts to this. So what are your thoughts on the Vengeance to Resolve change in 6.0 and the new crit block increasing your attack power?
Oh, the mastery he's talking about.
The mastery for
talking about like
your
mastery giving you attack power in general.
Yeah. So I guess there's two parts to that. I guess take the mastery one because we didn't bring that up in the main show. Do you think that could be abused by that just like stacking mastery to get like super damage all the time instead of having to worry about Vengeance Horn like you do now? Or do you think it'll be contained?
I think it'll be fairly rigidly contained by the testing. Because for the Warlords of Draenor testing model, they'll have a lot more time to test, I think, in general. And I think they'll be fairly good on limited and stuff like that. I say that, but as I said earlier, they've not been terribly good on like max level scaling. They tend to let things scale out of proportion to ridiculous levels. But hoping and having faith that they will sort of contain that sort of thing. I can't really foresee Mastery being any stronger. In fact, the thing I do like is that all the stats so far seem pretty viable. Like both
That's the
haste,
goal,
reducing your cooldowns is viable.
Except for the cleave though. Do you really like the heal? I'm not too wild about the heal. The blood
cleave,
craze,
I guess, is one that has a bit of contention, but I think for the most part, it's nice that each stat has its benefit, and it's a lot more permutations in terms of theory crafting as to which is going to be the absolute optimal way to go. And it'll probably change, well, I think definitely will change from fight to fight.
Yeah,
kind of to add to that, there actually isn't, when you think about it, they did make all the stats viable. You know, haste right now for us is wasted. It's nothing. It's a wasted stat, literally. It's like being overhit cap, pretty much. Next expansion, it's going to be similar to Paladins, I believe, where it reduces the cooldown of our Shield Slam and it reduces our GCD, which it doesn't do now. So I'm pretty excited about that. But with the newest iteration of Riposte, they're basically flip-flopping Riposte to how it is now. Right now, your avoidance gives you crit. The way they have it now is your crit is going to give you avoidance. So I'm curious to how that's going to go, because it might end up being how it is now, where it's because crit is probably best for rage generation. I mean, we'll have to work out how the haste works with the CD reduction and the GCD, but I'm guessing
I'm concerned
that
about
crit
those
is still
stats.
going to be best.
Yeah.
But what Eddy said, it is awesome that all the stats are going to be viable, with the exception of the hate or the cleave one. I'm not pumped about, but
No,
multi-strike, I think it's called.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Gear optimization has always been a part of this game. It's just an MMO thing. We've always gear optimized, and the fact that for the last year, it really hasn't mattered how I've geared for Rets, at least, obviously with the exception of hitting like 40% haste, or there's some disagreement about that. But once you get past a certain haste level, it's like, oh, mastery, crit, and haste are all really good. You can go full mastery and do within the margin of error on your sim about equal DPS, and that's just boring to me. I don't know. I don't find that interesting. I think it's cool. I don't want any stat to be worthless like haste for you guys. That's not cool. I don't want any stat to be actively bad or like worth 0. But I honestly don't want them all to be pretty much equally good either. That doesn't sound very interesting to me. I liked it much better at the beginning of the expansion when haste was a really big deal for Ret, and now it's just like, oh, cool, all of my stats are good. I guess I'll just gear with whatever.
Yeah. We'll have to see. I mean, I can't imagine at least the first wave of alpha that can be streamed being before the end of this month, if not early May.
Yeah.
And then I think a more open-ish beta, even though the beta this time it was confirmed with Zarm and Celestalon that it's not going to be as like everyone gets beta like Mist of Pandaria was.
It's not going to be 5 million people.
It's not going to be 5 million people, so you'll have to really get your information from the sources that come out or find good streams that do it. I guess on that note, episodes in the future, of course, we'll be doing just stream sessions where Anna and I and some past guests will be just playing Warlords. Depending on how we all line up, we all actually get access. So you can look forward to getting information direct from us playing the game. You can ask us questions while we're doing it or whatever, because there's no NDA, because there's been no official launch of it yet. But I don't know, I think a more public-ish has to be June, July. It has to be June. Has to be June. We gotta know.
If you asked me 6 months ago when I thought beta was going to hit, I would have been like, oh, or alpha at least. It'd be like,
I said February.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking February, March, and then I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking like a June, July release.
Yeah.
Oh, how ignorant I am.
Well, it's just...
Yeah.
Like my guild right now, we're planning our break. We're gonna stop raiding.
Yeah.
We're stop raiding like in the next month or two. We're gonna spend like 5 months of just not raiding. So that kind of sucks. But at the same time, we're so burnt out that if we didn't do that, people would start quitting. Like
We did that for Dragon Soul. Yeah. I know that feeling.
We killed Garrosh, and the next week our roster size went from 32 to 22. We lost 10 people in 1 week of killing Garrosh. And I mean, like, probably 5 or 6 of them, we knew they were going to quit. They had already told us ahead of time, like, we're going to be done. But then a few people that we didn't expect to, and it was purely just because they were burnt out. and like we just don't want that to happen over the summer when we've all got our mounts. No one really gives a shit about the gear. It's purely just to keep us raiding.
I think a lot of guilds, I know Crisp is doing something a little different. Depends. We're doing like a lot on, we're doing like 2 to 3 on, 1 week off or so, because people are taking time breaks. Like breaks come around. Like our main tank took a break for a week. We can't raid, so we're not gonna raid. Brutal's in chat. I think Static was doing like a 2 to 3 week on, 1 or 2 week off kind of deal. So you can still keep raiding. You come back. You still keep the camaraderie. Because if you just don't raid for a while, depending on how close your guild might be together, that might be a problem. Especially because you want to stay at least comfortable, because once 6.0 drops for the 1 to 2 month period where we have 6.0, you can mythically raid Siege of Orgrimmar. So you can get into that rhythm again already before it happens.
I think that's our plan. Our plan is going to come back and start raiding once 6.0 hits and start raiding at the mythic level. But I kind of had the same reaction to you, because I wasn't with this guild in Dragon Soul, so I was like, man, that works. Like, people actually come back. People don't leave, that type of thing. It worked really well for them last expansion. So I trust my raid leader and his decision. So hopefully it works out. People leave. There's always people looking for new guilds.
Yeah, we've had that problem just trying to figure out what we're going to do, because we reached mount saturation 2 weeks ago, I think, and that's with everybody that we could possibly hand a mount to. And I know that when Dragon Soul was out, we gave everyone a mount, and then we just logged in every week and we raided every week. And I just remember that as being one of the closest to burnout times that I've ever had in this game, where I'm really loyal to my friends and to my guild leader, and I love my guild that I'm in. So I logged in every single week, and it didn't occur to me to quit. But I look back on that time and I'm like, I can't believe that I did that. Yeah. I can't believe that we logged in every single week, and we don't sell content. So we didn't sell mounts and stuff. I mean, I don't question that, but if we did sell content, then at least that would be something to do. Mm-hmm. We weren't really into alts in raids. We've discussed that now. But we were literally afraid to take a break, because we were afraid that if we took a break, wow. We were afraid that if we took a break, there wouldn't be a guild when mists dropped.
Yeah, that can be a thing. Yeah.
Are you guys taking a break, Eddie?
No, I doubt it. It's not on the plan anyway. No, we're going to keep raiding, but yeah, the Dragon Soul thing, exactly. Yeah. Like, you cleared in, I think it was usually 2 months for top 100 or something after it had been released, and it was literally 8. I think it was more than that.
I mean, we were behind you guys, but we were done in early February, and then this didn't launch until August.
Sometime in September, yeah.
I mean, Spazzo said in chat what the difference is between Dragon Soul Farm and now, and I would say there's a major difference in that Dragon Soul Farm, you were coming off of a crappy expansion where a lot of us kind of were losing faith in raiding. Tier 11 was awesome, Tier 12 had some good stuff, and Tier 13 was just horrible. And I was losing faith in the game. I thought that the game was changing into a game that would be really boring to raid and would suck. Now I am not coming off of that feeling. Now I'm like, cool, the people who are in charge of raids know what I want. They're going to make hard fights. I have faith. I may complain about some stuff, but I complain because I have faith, and I think that raids are going to be really great in the next expansion. It's a very different feeling. I feel like I would be much more... I would be not scared to take a break now, because I think that my raid would come back. In Dragon Soul, we were scared. So.
Yeah. I think we have 2 questions. Let's get to these real quick. We have a quick one. Where is it in chat? So Go for Neck asked, diminishing returns on dodge and parry are still a thing, and if so, how do you think they will work in 6.0? I wonder. What do you guys think?
Well,
it's gone off gear. So
yeah, exactly. Because it's gone.
So yeah, I mean, strength presumably will have DR on the percentage.
Have they said that strength is going to keep giving parry?
Yeah.
Okay, I hadn't seen that. So, right now, I don't know what Eddie does. Right now, I go pure parry. I don't even worry about the balance between them, because the amount that you lose through diminishing returns is 0.5%. I mean, it's like nothing, but the amount you gain through having, right now I've got 45% parry. If I balance them, I think it would bring me down to probably the low 30s, and I would lose out on hold the line procs. So it is right now. You don't even worry about it right now. We really don't know for the next expansion, because we don't even know if they're going to have DRs. They might not even have it.
depending on how big the stats, how big they know because it's more like a linear curve now with how stats are going to scale. They'll probably have they have the whole expansion planned out if they're doing 3 raid tiers again like they normally have been. They'll know how much you can even get to, even if you just stacked it, because they know how many gem slots you're going to get. There's no reforging or anything like that, so your secondaries won't matter to that. It's gone off of gear, so they can probably know how much you can even get, and if it's at an acceptable level, then they won't really worry about a DR effect for it, I assume.
I honestly can't see you running into DR range just off strength alone. I mean, yeah. So I wouldn't personally worry about that.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry. Next little thing real quick here before we wrap it up. Something we missed in the main show. We've done over tons of like 6.0 thoughts of what's going to change, but I think the biggest one was you guys want to talk about Gladiator stance, or Stance of the Gladiator, whatever it's be called. So what is this? Is this a new just basic skill, or is it a talent? I don't know what this is, because I'm not a warrior.
They were saying it would replace Berserker stance, and you would then go into that, and that would be like a sword and board DPS spec, like you get in other MMOs, where, yeah, you can just act as a DPS, but with a sword and board. They also then made it, like, I found it initially quite appealing, so that you could then pop a cooldown, go into Gladiator stance, do a load of damage, hop back out again. But they've made it so that you can't change while in combat. Is what they then later said. Yeah, you put Gladiator stance, go into combat. That's it. You're locked in that stance. So, yeah. As saying in chat, it replaces battle. Berserker is gone.
Are there any other stances in the game that you can't change in combat?
No.
Look, this is where Eddie and I differ. He was excited about it originally. I was pissed. Because I was like, yes, we're finally getting rid of Vengeance. No, I'm going to be forced into going Glad stance in order to compete. I was so pissed. So that's the difference between us.
That's weird. Okay.
It's very weird. So it's like it's an extra DPS spec for Warrior. So you got Fury, Arms, and then Glad stance, Prot.
I have a sneaky suspicion that it's going to turn into what the Warlock tanking spec was, where it's you can do it, but it's not going to be viable for top end rating, and they're not going to balance around it
unless you're Spark Ugs.
I just don't see it being viable, honestly, because there's so many ways that this can get out of control, because it's not like it's a completely different spec. It's one ability. In order to balance for that, they're going to have to nerf Prot, which is going to mess up the Prot scaling. It's just, I don't see it. I think what they're going to do, they're going to keep it in there because it has other, like for tanks, if you're staying in defensive stance, you get 5% damage reduction. We should have talked about it because people are like, 5% damage reduction, that's it? And passive 5% damage reduction, that's a ton. That nearly
brings you up to Warlock level, that does.
Yeah, almost.
So like, it's good. It's a good talent as is for Prot Warriors. It doesn't need to be changed, but for the DPS side of it, I just don't see it being viable. It's going to be a cool little thing that you can do, but that's kind of shitty for DPS Warriors because they're basically just losing a talent slot.
Yeah. So that almost feels like it should be built into the class in some way that you could, because that is a thing. I mean, it is definitely a thing that other games do.
Make it a glyph or something.
Make it
because it doesn't actually change. Because all it does is it makes it so your shield block does damage instead of
absorb. The last I read was when you'd use shield barrier, it would give you an absorb, and it would then add that damage to your next shield slam.
I think
they changed that to shield charge or something. I'm just leaving that one well alone because I can see it changing a lot, to be honest. I'm not even going to bother. I'm just going to wait till they figure out.
Wait until it's in the beta.
It didn't even last 2 weeks before getting changed, so I doubt it's going to last until I get to the beta.
Wait until the beta comes out, then you can work on it. But alrighty. Anything else that came in we need to address real quick, or are we good to go? I think we're good to go. I think
we're pretty good to go, unless Chad has any more questions.
Yeah, replaces shield block with shield charge, buffs shield slam, revenge, and heroic restricted by 30%.
Yeah. See, they changed it again.
Also gives a passive 20% damage increase. I think it would look cool to be sword and board and doing damage and not be a tank, because that is very warrior-esque too. The master of all arms, and a shield is a weapon. It's not a defensive only ability. So, or it's the only piece of armor. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Hey, we shield bash, all right?
Yeah, well, yeah,
And shield slam.
Shield slam, yes, but
And
yes, okay.
As for chat, I did issue
There's still one question. Brutall says, let's see, because we are right at time here, basically. What's the quick type faster? He's gonna be typing as the delay catches up. So.
I want to ask Brutall what he uses to make his beard grow, because I'm a huge Ducks fan and it's in the playoffs and I'm trying to grow out my playoff beard, and as you can see, I'm a horrible excuse for a man compared to Bay and Eddy and Brutall. So
no,
I just need some tips,
Wow,
man.
beard jealousy.
What do you order at Taco Bell to yield the highest mitigation results? I go for the crunch wrap. I go for the crunch wrap.
Oh, he'll love that you said that. That's his favorite thing.
Yeah,
that's his
the
favorite
crunch
thing.
wrap.
I like that
is
you
my
know
deal.
that, Bay.
Hey, what the heck? Hey, all right. Wow.
Wait, so you I mean, there's a delay here, but he shampoos his beard with Taco Bell. Let it go. Let it grow, brother. Wow. I don't know about that.
So now I think that. So do you go to Taco Bell, get tacos? You keep eating all the tacos on one wrapper, and then you put that wrapper like this. Is that what you do?
That's so disgusting.
Have you guys okay, for the people in California that eat In and Out, I'm sure they've heard of cheese paper, like the cheese that gets left on the paper. It's delicious. It's the same thing. It's his Taco Bell paper, just like
no.
So gross. You people. How did I end up here?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm pulling rank and pushing the damn button. Oh my god.
Yeah, I feel like it's time. Now that we're talking about fast food theory crafting, we can end on that.
Yes, In and Out. Chat right there. In and Out.
Oh my
California.
glob. Oh my absolute glob. Eddy from Echoes. Go check him out at echoes-guild.eu. Thank you for being on the show, sir. It was awesome.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Yes. And then we have Gliff over here. He's on Twitter at Gliff_TH of the Horsemen. Thank you, sir. Try shampooing your beard with Taco Bell and see if it works.
God, I
really don't want Final Boss to be known for recommending this day. Because you just know that somebody is going to tweet us a picture of what happened after they tried it, and I'm just going to be like, please don't do that, viewers. Please don't do that for the sake of my sanity.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Well, not endorsing that, which we're not. It's just ridiculous. Anna is over on Twitter at AnnaFail. You can go follow her on Twitter and talk to her and all that stuff and things.
Yep.
And do
absolutely. Go follow me.
Yes.
Sometimes I tweet about WoW. Mostly I don't, though. I mean, I always tweet about WoW, so you should follow me.
Oh, of course. Of course. And of course, I'm over there on twitch.tv, BayTLM, so you'll find me in all my social media stuff. And again, next week, April 27th, we have on Mr. Ducksauce. Ducksauce will be here to talk about being a struggling actor, being a Twitch TV broadcaster, and how awesome his voice is. So don't miss that. And then also, Anna, who's on May 4th?
And Ian Hazacostas on May 4th. So we've got Ducksauce coming up next weekend, and Ian Hazacostas, a.k.a. Watcher, on May 4th, so make sure that you guys tune in for the next 2 episodes. They're going to be really exciting ones.
Absolutely. And again, if you want to help support Final Boss TV, we're going to be playing some ads after we go off here. You can turn off your ad block and watch those for a couple minutes and help us out. It supports us and this awesome free entertainment website that is Twitch TV, and we thank you all for watching. Everyone behind the scenes, again, this has been a great episode. We will see you next week. Have a good reset. Trust in the coin. And until later, we'll see you guys, and bye-bye.
See you.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.